Hail Swabbies, this is the Lieutenant here to talk to you about a game you need to play as your DOS boss. Now, I can't introduce this game any better than it can, so let's just jump right in. One Must Fall 2097. Now, I think this is one of the best openings that there is. It just, between the lightning and the music coming in, it just really gets you pumped up for what this game is. Now, One Must Fall is a fighting game. It was sort of PC's answer to the console classics now of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter II. One Must Fall takes the best aspects of these games and delivers them in a tight, neat package, which is filled with ways to keep it exciting and fun, as well as with some secrets or secret advanced options that help keep it exciting and help keep it moving forward. With the main one-player mode, you start off by choosing your pilot, then you choose your robot. You then fight every other pilot and then lead up to a boss fight, which is a bit harder and with a bot that you can't choose. Well, you can if you know the secret. What really makes One Must Fall different is this combination of pilot and robot. Your pilot determines your stats between power, agility, and endurance, and your robot is really going to determine kind of your hitbox, what your special moves are, and it's really going to affect what your gameplay is going to look like, because the different special moves are going to be worked into your main fighting style. It's also going to determine, how long your leg sweep is or how quickly you can attack. That is influenced somewhat by your bot and what moveset that they have. Unlike Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, there are only two attack buttons. You only have punch and kick, and what direction you're pressing with the keypad is what's going to determine what kind of a hit it is, if it's heavy, light, or medium. A heavy hit you hold down back while you're pressing punch or kick. Medium is when you're not pushing anything, and then a light punch or kick is while you're pressing forward. You can see the difference, especially with the Electra. You can see here with the kick you have a heavy back kick, which is kind of a spinning kick, the normal kick, which is a front kick, and then the light kick is kind of that knee going forward. The special move combos are also just combinations of the directional buttons and then usually an attack button, such as your basic down back punch for the Jaguar, which is going to be your concussion blast, much like your Hadouken in Street Fighter II. There are no combos that have you hold down a button for a couple seconds or hold down back for 2 seconds, then forward and punch like with Street Fighter, which I think really makes it a lot easier to string the special moves into your natural combos. And One Must Fall allows for that you can chain a normal punch and kick with a special attack to really build your own combos, and it's up to you to kind of figure out what's going to work best, how to get those best juggling combos, and it really makes it flow, makes you have to really think of how to put the moves together to really overcome your opponent. As you notice, with the main attack bars, you've got your pink bar, which is your vitality, but then also underneath you have kind of your endurance bar. In Street Fighter II, I was playing that just recently. I noticed that sometimes you could get hit and then you'd kind of get dizzy and stars would fly around your head, but I had no clue when that would come. In One Must Fall, you can see this bar as you take multiple hits in a row. That bar is going to go down and you're going to get stun locked, which that's handy because you can see as you're hitting your opponent when you're going to get a bit of a break, or you can see when you need to back off and keep from getting hit. That's that endurance stat, which is really pretty different than any of the other fighting games. Power and agility, pretty straightforward. Agility is how fast you're going to move, how high you can jump. Power is how much damage you're going to do when you hit. In One Must Fall, you also have different arenas where you're going to fight, and with those different arenas, there are different hazards. Except for in the stadium, that's just your blank open area, no hazards, pretty straightforward in what you're having to do. The other ones, you have the desert. Your hazard there are jets that are going to fly down and shoot at you, which is a great way to get stunned because it counts as several hits even though they don't do much damage. The danger zone, you have spikes coming out of the wall, which can be really frustrating if you're about to hit someone, although the computers fall for it pretty easily. You have the power plant, where if you hit the wall you also get electrocuted for extra damage. And then you have the fire pit, which has a fun little thing. It's a little hologram that floats around, and if you hit it, it shoots a firebolt up from the ground to hit your opponent, which can be really fun if you can string it in with a combo. With other fighting games, you have your difficulty settings. One Must Fall takes this up a notch. If you get to the boss and you're on rookie or punching bag, it kind of makes fun of you for not taking the game seriously and won't let you fight the boss. Also, with One Must Fall, you have your gamut of different difficulty rangings, like I said, starting with punching bag, going all the way up to champion. But then there are even 2 secret difficulty settings, deadly and ultimate, which if you get fighting on these ones, they do not hold back. They will just tear you to shreds and then even humiliate you after you lose, which is another thing to bring up. Like Mortal Kombat, One Must Fall decided that it needed fatality moves, or in the case of One Must Fall, it's your scrap and destruct move, which is actually a 2-part sequence. Once you defeat your opponent, then you're able to do a secret combination of button presses or a combo that will let you do the scrap move, which is usually something, you know, that beats up your opponent. But then if you can do another key combination and at the right time, you'll do the destruct move, which usually you have to get the timing just right during the scrap move. One thing to note here, One Must Fall actually steers away from the violent side, even though it's copying kind of the Mortal Kombat fatality. In the storyline, you come to find out that this is the future and it's these giant robots, and that the pilots aren't actually inside, but they're more jacked in to the robots, somewhat like the Matrix, that the pilot feels like they are the robot, but they're in a separate location. So even though you get the same kind of visceral, primal feeling of absolutely obliterating your enemy, it's less violent, which I think was one of the selling points of this one, of One Must Fall, in that you still got that fighting, but it didn't have the gore or the blood in the game because it was robots. Now, One Must Fall allows you to customize and play quite a bit. In the one-player mode, you're able to, if you know the secret, change the stats of the pre-stock pilots, as well as change your color combination on your robot. But I think what really sets One Must Fall apart as a game and as a fighting game is what's called tournament mode. This, you begin with your pilot, and you start off with the Jaguar, kind of the basic robot, and you have to just start from scratch. You have to purchase your own training for your stats between power and agility and endurance. You're able to buy upgrades for your robot, but you only get money by winning tournaments. You get bonuses for the scrap and destruct moves, for getting combos, and that kind of thing. But with that, you also have to use money to repair your robot when you get defeated, or even just if you take damage during any round. But then also you have to enter a tournament that takes money. You have rankings, it keeps track of your wins, your losses, and everything like that, and it really lets you be that pilot. You have to make sure you're smart with your money, of how much you're going to get trained, which upgrades you're going to take, whether you want to increase your arm strength, your foot speed, the armor on your robot, as well as keep in mind that you might not win that next one. And because if you don't win that next one, your repair guy, one, is mad at you, or he might have to sell off some of those enhancements that you got in order to cover that repair bill. Also, with the tournaments, there are all sorts of secrets in there. For instance, in the storyline, you learn that the characters Crystal and Christian are brother and sister. And so in the North American tournament, kind of the first tournament, if you do this destruct move on Crystal, Christian shows up as an unranked challenger, kind of as a how dare you, I'm going to kick your butt for being mean to my sister. And the tournaments are just loaded with secrets like this. Once you pass the first tournament, the North American tournament, you can go into the other tournaments, the Katushi Challenge or the World Championship, and you're able to see brand new pilots that you haven't seen. They have different styles, different fighting modes, and they use the whole gamut of the different robots. You also really have to keep track of how you're leveling up, because once you beat the first tournament, they just explode in how good they are. If you look at their robots, you look at their stats, if you're not prepared, they are just going to be twice as much as you. At first I thought that they leveled with you, but I did a little experiment of not really upgrading my pilot and beating the first tournament. And I discovered once I entered it again, everyone was just leagues ahead of me of where I was. And so you really have to keep that in mind when you decide which training you're going to get, what you're going to focus on. Do I go for more power? Do I go for more agility? And you really have to keep track of that, or else you're going to get left in the dust. You're going to find that maybe you upgraded your robot too much, that your pilot is just not keeping up. Because if you do want to get a different robot than the Jaguar, you have to pay for it. You basically trade in the robot with all of its enhancements for a brand new robot from scratch. So you're going to have to upgrade that arm speed, the stun resistance, that kind of thing, in order to keep up. So all in all, One Must Fall is a game that still gets me excited, from the clang of a roundhouse to the face, to beating that final opponent in the World Championship. It just really delivers an experience that is tailored to you, to the level of difficulty, and is just full of secrets as well as ways to really customize that experience to you, that I think you'll find it so enjoyable to pick up and play now. It's freeware, you can get the whole thing for free. You just need to get DOSBox and you are on your merry way. So this is your DOSBox recommending One Must Fall 2097, and remember, no rest for the wicked.